Sure, put me up first. We were waiting for our clerk to come back. So apologies. There she is. All set, Madam Clerk? Okay, all right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the March 10th already, 2025 meeting of the Portsmouth Town Council. If you could all please rise and join me in a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence for our men and women in harm's way.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Before we begin, we're just going to review safety procedures. If there is an emergency, there are 3 exits to leave the building. The door that you came in, one behind Mr. Reese over here, and one in the back right-hand corner of the chambers. If everybody would please leave in an orderly fashion and meet us over at the school department building as we await for help from the emergency responders. We're also live streaming this evening. If you are on Zoom, you can please raise your hand and we will recognize you if you would like to. You can hit *9 to unmute your phone and excuse me, *6 to unmute your phone, *9 to ask a question. First up, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Gleason,
Here.
Ms. Blank,
Here.
Ms. McDowell,
Here.
Mr. Payer,
Here.
Ms. Patton,
Here.
Mr. Reese,
Here.
Mr. Hamilton.
I'm here. Is it a lot louder back there than it has been in the past? Okay. Listen, I'm not even close to the microphone and I can hear it echoing back here. No, it's okay. We can leave it loud. We just have to make sure that we have microphones off, so it just echoed a lot more. It's a good thing. Everybody can hear. Next up, we have our consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve as presented?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. We have minutes from our last meeting of February 24th.
Motion to approve the minutes of 2/24/25.
Mr. President, just one amendment. Madam Clerk, if you could just change in the acceptance on the vote for the that's perfectly fine. Sorry, I'll second it. Change on the vote for the civic support, I dissented.
Also, I would like to amend the minutes to reflect that there was a request to get updated information from the Prudence Island Foundation regarding their financial statements, as well as their MOU between the school committee and the town of Portsmouth regarding funding.
Juan Carlos, what was your change? I'm sorry.
The vote says unanimous
Okay.
on the civic support. It should be 6-1.
Okay, thank you.
Did you get all that, Madam Clerk? Okay.
So the motion would be to approve the minutes as amended.
Sure.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next up, we have our town administrator's report. Mr. Rayner, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. President, Town Council, ladies and gentlemen. The Rhode Island Interlocal Risk Management Trust, colloquially known as the Trust, has awarded Portsmouth 2 life safety and emergency action grants. The first is a $2,000 grant to assist in the purchase of enhanced security window film, which will be installed in the front vestibule and windows of the police station. The second is $1,097 to purchase a security camera for the front lobby and entrance area of Town Hall. Additionally, Portsmouth has received a $30,000 grant from the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank's Municipal Infrastructure Grant Program to enhance safety and accessibility at Elmhurst Park. The grant will fund the installation of new lighting in the park's parking lot, an improvement that has been in the works since the site's initial development. Following the last council meeting, I wrote a letter to the Bristol Town Administrator and Bristol Town Council asking them to participate in a working group to discuss parking for riders of the Prudence Island Ferry. I discussed the idea with the Bristol Town Council at their last council meeting, and they agreed to participate. I stressed that this group is not a decision-making body, but will serve as a forum for discussion among stakeholders to explore potential ideas related to parking concerns for Prudence Island residents. Our next step is to coordinate a kickoff meeting, and I'll keep the council informed of our progress. The governor is continuing his municipal leaders luncheon program, and I will participate at a meeting between the governor and other East Bay managers on Friday. These meetings are very informal and allow us the opportunity to discuss various topics of local concern openly and directly with the governor. The Rhode Island League of Cities and Towns Annual Convention is set for next Thursday. You have till the end of tonight to register if you'd like. This convention brings together hundreds of local government officials and elected officials. Most department heads will participate in training sessions during the day with a chance to engage with their peers and colleagues from across the state. Paving of Riverside Street is now scheduled for next month. CRMC recently approved a bioretention basin, which was a necessary part of the improvement of the road, and work on the basin was completed last week. I'd like to announce that Portsmouth has earned recertification by the National Weather Service as a storm-ready community. This certification is good through 2028. Storm Ready is a preparedness program that encourages government entities and commercial gathering sites to prepare for severe storms. The program issues recognition to communities and sites across the country that demonstrate severe weather readiness. You may have noticed Storm Ready signs around town designating Portsmouth as a Storm Ready community. As part of the program, we encourage residents to prepare for the upcoming hurricane season, which officially starts June 1st. More information is available at the Emergency Management Agency webpage on the town website. Also, Rhode Island Commerce announced last August that a new statewide initiative called Ready, Set, Roadie had been awarded funding. Planning staff attended a press conference in February that announced that Fuss and O'Neill will assist in the development of vulnerability assessments and remediation plans for commercial areas most vulnerable to severe weather events, erosion, and floods. The company will work with Rhode Island Commerce and Rhode Island Division of Statewide Planning to provide a targeted infrastructure vulnerability assessment to multiple municipalities, including high-level information on specific hotspots of vulnerability. Portsmouth, specifically Island Park, has been selected as one of 12 communities chosen to participate in this initiative. And then lastly, it is with deep appreciation and a heavy heart that I announced the retirement of our Director of Public Works, Mr. Brian Woodhead, effective May 1st. Brian has dedicated an incredible 27 years of service to Portsmouth, leading with professionalism, integrity, and an unwavering commitment to our community. Over the past decade, I have had the privilege of working closely with him, and I can confidently say that his impact on Portsmouth is immeasurable. His leadership, tireless work ethic, and selfless dedication have earned him the respect of his colleagues and the gratitude of an entire community. Brian has played a vital role in shaping Portsmouth into the place we are all proud to call home. While we will certainly miss him, we also celebrate his well-earned retirement and wish him nothing but happiness and success in this next chapter of his life. I plan to bring forward my recommendation for his successor at our next council meeting. Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Sorry again. Thank you, Mr. Renner. Any questions for Mr. Renner on his report? I would like to echo your sentiments about Mr. Woodhead. It's been a pleasure working with him for the past 18 years and even before that. Brian has gone above and beyond to make sure that the town of Portsmouth is safe. The roads are immeasurably better since he's taken over. Anytime we've had a major snowstorm or a major event, it's almost like it never happened. So the command of he and his staff have done a great job taking care of the roads and the infrastructure of the town of Portsmouth. And I'd like to congratulate Brian on his retirement, and I'm sure we'll have a big shindig before you leave. Now that we've sufficiently embarrassed Brian. We're on to resignations and appointments. We have two resignations, one for Ms. Helger from the Parks and Recreation Committee and one for Ms. Andriola from the West Side Development Committee.
Mr. President, I move that we receive the resignations with regret.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next, we have appointments. We now have 4 vacancies.
Mr.
Ms. Patton.
President, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Burke, Faber, Hurley, and Rutledge Carter to the Park and Recreation Committee.
Second.
Mr. President, as we've done with other appointments as of recently, if there's anyone in the audience, can they come up
Absolutely.
before you
Ms.
vote?
Patton, what with a,
Burke, Faber, Hurley,
Ernie.
Herney, sorry, and Rutledge Carter. I'm not sure if any are in the audience.
Hello, David Fiorillo, 45 Hamilton Drive. As some of you know, I'm the chair of the Parks and Rec Committee. So I was looking over all of these applicants and very pleased that we have 7 applicants because Lord knows we never get any applicants. So I feel like we're in a very unique position right now that we can kind of pick from the applicants that we have. And I feel like, in my opinion, trying to touch every aspect of this town with soccer and basketball and Little League and hiking, I think having somewhat of a liaison to each area of this of sports and recreation in this town would be beneficial to our committee. And with that being said, under my recommendation would be Gregory Adams, Roderick Dubay, Jim Kitzmiller, and Natalie Herney as my top 4. After that, they're all very qualified. Don't make me. I don't want to make it sound like I wouldn't be happy with anybody, but those are the 4 that I think would fit our needs. We've always tried to have somebody from every sports group, so to say. That would be nice. It would be if we had to pick from starting from scratch. I think we would want to have an area of every sports and recreation aspect of this town. And Gregory is on lacrosse, and we've never had anybody on lacrosse sit on our committee. And I think that he would be a good liaison to hear the needs for what lacrosse would be looking for in the future for the town. Roderick is an outdoors person. Hiking, fishing. He's a very adamant outdoorsy person, and I think that's lends well to Parks and Rec. Jim Kitzmiller is a voting member on PYSA and also volunteers for PYB, and I think that would also be an area that we've never really had anybody on our committee for. And Nancy Herney, all qualified again, but has young children in this town, and I think that would help with seeing what the needs of somebody with young children for the future of Parks and Rec in this town would be. So that's just my recommendation for who I would like to see sitting on the committee with us. So,
Thank you, Mr. Freeland.
thank you.
Are there any other nominations or?
I
Discussion.
just, are there any members that filled out applications that would like to come forward? Are there anybody here? That,
Sure, come
Sure.
on up to the podium, sir.
How we doing, everyone? I'd like to say I fell in
If you
love
could
with,
just do me a favor and
Oh.
state your name and address. for
oh,
the
I'm
record.
sorry, Roderick Dubay, 7 Grain Terrace, Portsmouth, Rhode
Thank
Island.
you.
Hello, everyone. I fell in love with this island when I was a kid. My dad used to manage the old Kmart Middletown. And so naturally, when I got back from college, it was my first place was rented was here in Portsmouth. And as of 2015, I'm just proud to say I'm a Portsmouth homeowner. I've raised my kids here. I've coached youth soccer for 8 years. I even helped bring home a championship for our team. Now that my kids are in high school, both active in sports, I look for new ways to give back to the community. Coaching was an incredible experience for me. And I wanted to continue being involved in something that makes a difference. Last year, I came to the board with an idea for a disc golf course, and I'm excited to see that project starting to take shape now. When I heard there was an opportunity to join the board, I knew it was something I wanted to pursue. Working with all of you and contributing to the community in a meaningful way is something I would truly enjoy. Beyond my involvement in the community, I'm also a business owner. I am an electrical contractor, own Precision Power. I'm sure you've seen the trucks around town. My work requires strong leadership skills, but also demands teamwork. I know how to take a project from start to finish. I understand the value of collaboration and to make something successful. I believe that these skills combined with my deep love for this community make me a great fit for this role. I appreciate your time and consideration. Look forward to the opportunity to serve you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dubey.
Thank you.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the council, my name is Jim Kitzmiller. I think the gentleman represented my background adequately enough. What I would add to, yes,
Address as well.
oh, yes, 140 Adams Drive. In addition to my application, what I neglected to add to it is committee work. I served on the town charter committee, review committee a couple years ago. If you want an endorsement of my credentials, if Mr. Richard Norton, the chair, I'm sure would attest to my ability to add efficiency to that process. But I am a sport advocate. I have an 18-year-old son, a senior at Portsmouth High School, all division in 2 sports. In fact, he was recruited to play soccer at State University of New York Maritime College, which he will be attending in September. Portsmouth continually punches above its weight class in terms of state competitions, and that doesn't happen by accident. That's due to the devotion and the commitment of the town, the parents, and the efforts, and our Parks and Recreation Committee, which I would be honored to participate in. Any of your questions?
Any questions for Mr. Kitzmiller? Thank you, Mr. Kitzmiller.
Hello, everybody. So my name is Cynthia Burke. I'm at 1360 East Main Road in Portsmouth here. So I've done a lot of things. I've volunteered. I've mentored a lot of children in DCYF. So I'm familiar with the importance of physical activity, being out in the fresh air, being able to help them to build confidence, the importance of teamwork. And I just feel that with the spring coming and the summer coming, Portsmouth is beautiful. It's great for the children. And I would love to be able to help, whether it's the parks or walking trails or whatever, just to be able to give back. I've been in the town more than 30 years, and it's a beautiful place to be, and I'd love to be able to give back at this point. I have some extra time on my hands, so I wanted to throw my hat in the ring.
Any
So thank you.
questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And for anybody who was out on the streets today in the sunshine, the kids are already out on the bikes in full force, which is fantastic to see.
Can I ask a general question?
Yes, ma'am.
David, I think you might be able to answer this or in general. I love this town and that we have more applicants than positions. There's other ways people can also volunteer and help with Parks and Rec, right? Without being, can you talk about that, the volunteer abilities?
There are other outdoor committees that they could volunteer for
Yes.
as well,
It's,
like the Melville Park Committee.
I'm sorry, is that what you're asking? If there are other volunteer?
Yes, what other opportunities people could volunteer?
I mean,
Because I greatly appreciate and recognize the process it is of going through,
yeah. I mean, there are volunteer opportunities through Wendy Bulk, through the director of Parks and Rec. I mean, she's always looking for people to volunteer for programs that she puts on. You know, we've had a concert series this year that she was always looking for volunteers. She does a lot with kids. She's had like after school care, like during vacation time. So there are opportunities to volunteer directly through Wendy. I'm not sure how she gets that information out there, but she's always at our meetings, always looking for volunteers to, volunteer for all the stuff that she does a lot of programming in this town. So she's constantly looking for more volunteers.
thank you very much.
welcome.
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight that there are more ways. And appreciate that we have such a great town of people looking to join the committee.
Absolutely. So we have a motion to approve.
Could I just ask one question as well?
Absolutely.
So we had a resignation from Parks and Rec. Is that included in
That's
the?
included.
That's included,
Yes,
right?
the
That's
last
not
meeting it
coming
was
up.
3.
Last meeting was 4 for 3. Now we have 7 for 4.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion, Mr. Payero?
I just would
Sorry.
like to nominate other individuals if it's the appropriate time.
Okay, sure.
Just because I think that Chair Fiorello should get the team he probably wants and the resources that he feels best for his team. I would like to put up Gregory Adams, Roderick Dubé, and Jim Kitzmiller. I'm assuming those 3 weren't put up yet, and I know that Miss Ernie was already put up, so I'm not going to.
Yes, so I was just concerned with Dubé because of conflict with disc golf. As the liaison on Park and Rec, he has come to the meetings and he wants to possibly work with the town as far as disc golf, which I think is a great opportunity. I just don't know if that would be a conflict on the committee. So that was the only concern that I had with that. And then as far as others, voting members on certain sports, that's the only, concerns I had, so.
Would any member of that committee be able to recuse themselves like any of us would have to?
Yes,
So I don't.
it would
Yeah,
be
I
the
don't-
same process. If there was a vote taken for PYSA and an individual was on a PYSA board, they would have to recuse themselves, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'm using that as an example, so. Mr. Gleason.
Thank you. My only comment is I would support the 4 that were already mentioned with the Charlene's motion. And my thought process is, for instance, the disc golf, I think that gentleman, while I value the extra, I say extra, we have more than 7. We have 7, we have more than the 4 we need. I think he would be more effective coming to the committee and working with the committee. And I think my thought process is the same for the soccer and the lacrosse individual, rather than be on the committee to come forward with the thought, their thoughts on how they can improve things, how they can. And what I've seen over the years is we need a better relationship between soccer and lacrosse and just how the 70 fields are used and how they're coordinated. And that seems to, I think it's Wendy's job, but it's been a difficult position to manage over the years. And I just think that we should look at it that way, personally.
So you don't think having a liaison on the committee that can go back and talk to the board would be helpful, rather than just a volunteer?
I think the board should be coming to the meetings. The presidents of the leagues should be addressing Parks and Rec in general.
Okay. And since I forgot to write it down the first time, your 4 were Burke, Faber, Herney, and Rutledge Cotter. Okay. Burke, Faber, Hernley, and Rutledge Cotter. I'm gonna do the Rhode Island thing and make it an Rutledge Cotter. Okay, so why don't we take them as they were done in order? We'll do them individually. So that way, Madam Clerk, if you do, we'll do, can we do each individual person instead of a blank?
Instead of a motion.
Wouldn't you have to amend the motion?
Yeah, I mean, we have nominations of 7 different people.
Because she did it in a block.
She did it in a block. Mr. Pereira did it in a block. I guess the best way to do it would be to do it individually, but if you want to do it as a block, I'd rather not be here all night discussing Recreation Department appointments, but, so the first motion, and was there a second in Mr. Pereira's motion?
No, there
There
wasn't.
was not.
But
No,
you,
no. There was
Okay.
a second on.
Right.
Yes,
but, or you could just withdraw your motion and
do them individually.
No,
instead of amended.
no.
Okay,
I'd like to second Carlos's motion.
Can I make
Mr.
one
Farrell,
last,
yes.
statement? I'm just kind of scratching my head at this process that you make it a motion to appoint people to a committee that you're not on anymore without asking.
I'm the liaison.
You are the liaison, but you're not on the committee anymore. And there was never an email from you to me to
Or
say,
you to me.
hey, wait, let me speak. There was never an email from you to me to say, hey, here's these appointments. What are you looking for? There was nothing. So you're just throwing, and everybody that applied, I'm fine with. It's just that it's the point of, we talk about transparency all the time. I hear that word thrown around all the time. And there was never an ask from any one of you what our needs are on the committee. And we're about to make a motion for, I had my list of who I thought would fit well on our committee, and what you're trying to appoint isn't on my list. And I'm scratching my head at, we have 2 gentlemen that are sitting here and I forget her name, sorry. She's sitting here, Cynthia Burke, sorry.
we
She,
have 4 people in the
4
audience.
people. And they're here, they're showing their dedication, and we're appointing, somebody who's not here. And I don't know, it just seems like I would have liked with the whole transparency thing, it would have been nice to just have a dialogue before we get to this point and there's a motion made and without asking what our opinion was first. I thought that was,
I understand what you're saying, but.
but you made a motion before you even asked. 100%, 100%.
Okay.
And, I'm just,
I went through everyone's application.
yeah, you did.
And
But
for
you
the
didn't,
reasons that I stated.
did you ask
are-
Wendy who she would like to see on the board?
No. I
Why
did
not? Why wouldn't
Reach
you?
out to I didn't reach out to either one, but again, I'm
Okay.
here as well to reach out to.
Okay,
So I'm sorry that.
I know it
you
works both
may not
ways.
Feel that the people that I'm,
I don't know. I just find that there's usually an open dialogue between both. And I'm sorry that I didn't have the time to reach out to all of you to say, hey, what's your opinions of who you think should sit on our committee? I mean, if you had, input, or if you thought there was certain specific, you could have, I would have thought there would have been at least some sort of dialogue. And you made a motion before you could even ask, hey, let's have the chair come up. What do they think? I just find that,
I made a motion and then it's open for discussion.
okay, but
You came up, you
Okay.
gave us your advice.
I know,
and
but,
your opinion.
but you made a motion, it was seconded immediately. So it just seems
I
like,
made a motion, it was second,
Okay.
it was open for discussion. Now we're gonna vote on it. If it doesn't go through, then someone else can make a motion.
okay,
I mean,
I thought it would have worked a little bit differently, in my opinion. I just thought there would have been a little bit more dialogue. That's all. That's all. Thank you.
I hear your concern, David, but I do appreciate you answering the question when I did ask of what your recommendations were.
Ms. Faber?
It was stated that only 4 were, sorry, Deborah Faber, 74 Highland Ave in Portsmouth. It was stated that only 4 were here, and I was here present, but I didn't get up. I should have, but I wanted to give you a little background of my information. My background is the Open Space Committee, the Land Use Committee, and the Comprehensive Plan Committee. In 2004, the Open Space Committee partnered with ALT and the town to acquire the 3S properties specifically for the use of ball fields and recreational use. However, with ALT put a conservation easement on the property with conditions that, one of the conditions were that we had to restore the stone walls at the Glen. 20 years later, the stone walls are now completed. I believe this property should be reclaimed for public use for the community. I'm interested in working with the team to reclaim and restore this property as well as other properties acquired by the town for open space and recreational use. And I would be glad if you would consider my position here.
Specifically, what do you mean by reclaim? The triple S properties are still the town's.
The reclaim as recreational use,
It's,
and it's not.
it is. It's not made into ball fields yet.
It's,
It is recreational use.
it's not recreational use per se. It's being leased for farming. A section of it is being leased for farming.
I agree with you, but it is still recreational use. There is.
But it's not a ball field.
It is not yet. We don't have the money we haven't had the money, which is about $1.2 million specifically to create the ball field.
Okay, this is 20 years ago.
Understood,
Okay.
understood.
Is there any questions? Thank you.
I would just like to comment. I appreciate that because that is a goal of mine to see 2 fields on the 3S property, and I don't know, by hook or crook, it needs to happen. Just to clarify, the statement, the only thing that we need to do, and maybe Council President can correct me if I'm wrong, was to fix the stone walls on Sandy Point Avenue. So it was a bonus that we got the stone walls done at on Linden Lane, and I appreciate that effort. But we've met all of ALT's requirements, but
Right.
now we need some energy to figure out how we're gonna put the fields there.
And
And use
that's,
it for something other than walking paths and raising cattle and cow corn. So, thank
thank
you.
you.
So I was mistaken. There are 5 people in the room, and I'm Mr. Adams. I just did that by process of elimination.
Thank you,
Oh,
sir.
Right.
Greg Adams, 48 Cager Lane, Portsmouth, Rhode Island. Sorry, I'm late. Lacrosse season started today, and the young men were at Portsmouth High School, and so I came here as soon as I could. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. I won't take up much of your time because it sounds like this has been talked about. I applied because I have a civic duty to do so and want to help. I don't know much about the committee, but I'd like to offer a fresh perspective. Retired Navy, 24 years. I'm on the Portsmouth Youth Lacrosse Board as the secretary and the president of the U.S. Naval Academy Alumni Association, Chapter Rhode Island. I'll leave it at that if there's any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Adams? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
For your service, Mr.
Thank you,
Kitzmiller. I apologize. I didn't say thank you for your service as well. Thank you all. All right, so the first motion that was made was to appoint Ms. Burke, Ms. Faber, Hernley, and Rutledge Cotter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Motion passes 4-3, which makes the next motion moot at this point. I have no issue with the people who were appointed. I just would have liked to have done it individually rather than as a block. I encourage Mr. Dubé, Mr. Kitzmiller, and Mr. Adams to please attend the meetings if you can. They are all public meetings. You're all allowed to participate. I also encourage you to look at other committees as well. Outdoor space specifically, the Melville Park Committee, the Conservation Committee. Oh, we killed that one. That doesn't exist anymore, right? Conservation still exists for land? Okay. And the Conservation Committee as
It
well.
was agriculture that seems to be. fizzled.
Agricultural, yeah, that's the one. All right.
Please feel free to reach out. I'd love to work with you guys in the future. Genuinely.
Next
Thank
up, we have the Solid Waste and Recycling Committee. This should be a little easier because we only have 2 appointments and we have 6 vacancies. We have Ms. Carla and Mr. Lankarge. Lankarge, did I say that right, Pete? Lankarge? Okay.
Motion to approve the two
Congratulations on your
candidates.
house.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next up, we have old business. Number one, we have the civic support. We're not going to have a lot of discussions on this. The reason I brought it back is because we had, and I accept responsibility for this. There's state law conflicts in terms of open meetings acts and potential ethics violations. So I would just like to bring this back, vote on each line individually, and then it as a whole. The individuals who have to recuse themselves will do so when we get to their line.
Can I make a motion to that effect?
Yes.
That use the 2026 approved support request for the baseline and then review and modify the request individually as so moved. Individual will recuse themselves as required.
I think that's what I just said.
Well, I'm just wondering, I didn't know whether you needed an
Nope.
actual
You know
motion.
what? I was just gonna go down the line. If you want to approve the bottom line first and then I think we have to do the individuals before we
We'll
do the
do
bottom
the
line.
individuals first. then.
Yeah. Let's do the individuals first. So first up, we have $5,000 for the Aquinic Island Food Bank.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Pardon me, 7-0. Eyeballs. Next up, we have the Bottle of Rhode Island Association for $2,040.
So moved.
Second. Nope.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next up, we have the Martin Luther King Community Center at $5,000.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next, we have the East Bay Community Action Program at $3,060.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next, we have the Eastern Rhode Island Conservation Commission at $1,020.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next, we have Meals on Wheels at $2,400.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next, we have Newport Mental Health, which I think is Newport County Mental Health, but at $5,610.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Portsmouth Arts Guild at $2,040.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next, we have the Portsmouth Free Public Library at $587,226.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next, we have the Portsmouth Garden Club for $1,000.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next, we have the Portsmouth Historical Society.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. President, I will be recusing myself from this as I am a board member and I apologize for missing that when we voted last week.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes
I'll second.
6-0-1 with a recusal of Mr. Gleason. Next, we have the Portsmouth Senior Center.
So moved.
Second.
I'll be recusing myself.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
601.
6-0-1, I'm sorry. It's reflex action. Next up, we have the Prudence Island School Foundation. That's $60,571.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, please.
Sure.
So, given the information that we received from Prudence Island after our last meeting, I went through it and I just wanted to point a couple things out for the council and hopefully discuss it. And that is that last year, as of November 30th, 2024, the Prudence Island Foundation spent only $30,286 from last year's civic support, leaving $30,285 not spent. Also, they haven't spent anything from their 2024 budget yet for maintenance, which they allocated $58,000, leaving $58,000 unspent. So in essence, without educating students, we are supplementing a great deal of their budget, and it is a nonprofit. We gave the foundation the building, I believe, I don't know what year it was, maybe 2020 or whatever. So they have a total fund balance or net assets of $413,201 as of November 24th. They will be using, it says in a letter that we got after our meeting, that they will be using the unspent 58,000 in their budget to do a new roof, new soffits, trim, refurbishing the corbels, and repainting the front entrance. And so for this year, I think we should take a serious look at what is actually needed. I believe it is far less than the requested amount as far as the MOU, that to me is irrelevant as long as there are no students at the present time attending. When and if there are students, we certainly can revisit it. So I would like us to take a really close look, given that the 58,000 they haven't spent yet for maintenance that was in their budget. They have 30,000 left over from last year. And it is a foundation, and foundations can apply for grants, they can do fundraising, they can use volunteers, et cetera. So I am certainly not against education, but we are not educating, and we're in a different situation right now with that foundation. So I certainly think that we should relook at that, given the information that they supplied us with.
Mr. President, if I may. Sure. As someone that was on the school committee when we did sign the MOU with the Prudence Island School Foundation, the town has a fiduciary responsibility to the building itself. I think also it comes with delineated responsibilities that this council cannot tell the foundation how to spend funds that have been allocated to them. It's illegal. That's like me telling us telling the food bank that monies that we've spent that they have unspent, they have to be able to spend in a certain manner because they've accrued these dollars over the years. So I think it would be prudent on us, not only from a budget standpoint, to leave this number in place in case there is something that does come up, and I still think that this number is going to probably stay unchanged given our MOU responsibilities. But it also is not our responsibility to tell the foundation how to spend its funds.
I don't think I was saying how they should spend their funds. They have $58,000 that was allocated in the budget. I'm not saying that's our money, that they have it allocated for maintenance. They have not used it. And just, I want to read you the memorandum of understanding, which was signed in September of 2009. The council agreed to provide a contribution from the civic support portion of the town of Portsmouth budget. These funds normally are used to provide a complete and individualized education for each student, which includes developing and implementing plans, researching and providing curricula, and books for each child, purchasing computers and appropriate software, assessing progress, and reporting to state and local authorities. That is the MOU.
I get it, but you're also on a
Okay.
10-year-old MOU on that was made in 2009, not the more updated one that was made in, I think, approximately 2019, that states that the building needs to be open and available for any student that wants to receive an education there.
Well,
So
maybe,
I'm sorry, but if
Yeah.
a student decides tomorrow, or family decides tomorrow to educate a student there, and we pass a budget that doesn't give the allocated funds, congratulations, now we need to find the $60,571 in order to be able to provide an education for a student in that building.
please look at their budget.
I
That's
get
all
it,
I ask.
but that's not our job is to go to this based on what our responsibilities are.
Right.
And our responsibility is to provide these funds, not to tell a foundation how to spend their funds. I don't go to your house and tell you how to spend your paycheck.
You're right, you don't.
No.
Anyways, maybe Prudence, the foundation should have sent us in the information that we requested, they should have sent us the accurate information, I guess, because that's what they sent us, the MOU. So anyways, I guess I feel strongly about this. I'd like to make a motion that we reduce it.
Hold on.
Oh,
We already have a motion.
Okay.
That's first, yes. I'm sure it's Kathy.
I'm here.
Hi, Kathy. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
You just have to state
Um,
your name and address for the record.
I'm sorry. My name is Kathy Holman and I live at 369 Narragansett Avenue, Prudence Island, Rhode Island, 02872. And I apologize if we did not provide the lady with the information that she needed. We did give Ms. Marsden our latest audit, which I understand was requested. And there was a question regarding the expenditure of the maintenance funds for $58,000. And we did say that this is being done this spring. Our budget came out in August. We deal with contractors and they were not available until this spring. So I apologize. The work hasn't been done and the maintenance hasn't been done, but it is going to be done this spring. And hopefully it is already this spring, but we'll have to leave that up to a higher being than me. If the nice lady has any other questions, I would be more than happy to address them.
I didn't get it. What?
Her name's Kathy.
No, but the question was, did
Do
you ask?
you have any other questions for her directly? She's the president of the foundation.
Yep.
Or chairman. I don't know which one you are.
It doesn't matter. I'm it.
So could I ask you this question regarding the statement of activities that you supplied? And you have there, under revenue gains and other support, you had Portsmouth Civic Support Agreement, and the year-to-date expenditure was $30,286, and you budgeted for the full amount that we gave you. So I know that you said in your note that you were using the 50,000 plus under maintenance, 58,000, to do the work that needed to be done on the building. So how, do you plan to use that 30,285 from last year on something coming up?
Well, we're getting $60,000 total from, assumedly,
Right.
from the town council. With a $58,000 budget, that doesn't leave a lot to pay for the other items that we have to deal with, which would be any of the utilities, any of our volunteers, any of the other maintenance items, which are a regular problem with a 128-year-old building. So yes, we do plan on using that 30,000 plus the 30,000 because we get 2 checks a year, plus the $30,000 that we are going to get or have gotten, I'm sorry, in January towards this maintenance and the other items that we have to deal with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So the current motion on the
Right.
table.
I just had a statement.
Oh, sorry. Ms. White.
And she had reiterated it, but as what, like in my own home, like I haven't done any of maintenance or anything, waiting for the spring, waiting for the summer. So the rate of spending is not a concern for me. And in my personal opinion, maintaining a building is much more cost effective in the long run than allowing it to go into disarray and then trying to get it back up to acceptability. So I feel we should support this.
Any further discussions or questions? The motion is to approve the 60,571 and leave it in the civic support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-1 and 0, not 601 this time. And finally, we have wildlife rehabbers at $1,000.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 7-0. So then we need a total civic support approval, bottom line of $766,967.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-1 and 0. I'll get it right at some point tonight. I promise. Next up, old business number 2. We have our monthly finance report from Ms. Marsden.
Good evening, Mr. President, Honorable Council. As of the end of January, the town was 7 months or 58.3% through fiscal year 2025. Year-to-date general fund revenues were at 56.7% of the budget. Primary sources there were third quarter tax receipts, investment income, and building receipts. Year-to-date general fund expenditures were at 56.8%. Primary drivers were semi-annual and quarterly civic support payments. For reference, revenues and expenditures are comparable to this time last fiscal year and previous fiscal year, respectively, all at 56%. Third quarter tax payments are due March 1st, or were due March 1st, and we continue to record favorable interest income. Thank you.
Any questions on the monthly report? I have a motion to receive and place on file.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next up, I wanted to bring up old business number 3. We had talked about office hours, and I know Ms. McDowell has been working on scheduling sometimes. Just want to talk about the process of doing this. One is we can't have a quorum. So as we sign up for these and people sign up for dates, if you want to manage this, we just want to make sure that there's essentially 2, maybe 3, but we certainly can't have 4. Anything that does come up in a meeting should be brought back to the council to look at and discuss, or brought to the staff if that's appropriate, depending on what it is. And then the dates and times, I think you were looking at a couple of different, some morning dates and some evening dates. Specifically, we'd like to try and have them when not council, when the building is available and open, so we're not expending any extra funds that we don't need to. So, and we can also have them at other locations as well. Assuming that at some point the library is going to have their new carpeting finished and done soon. You could have one there. There's also the community room at the police department as well, if you need to have it at different times. So I just wanted to make sure that as we're going forward with this, that everybody understands that we can have these office hours. People are welcome to come in, have their discussion, but we need to make sure as a council, we're not violating any Open Meetings Act violations by having a quorum by accident and or rolling quorums through emails. So we need to make sure we avoid that as well. Okay? If anything to add for you, because that's the only reason I
No.
brought this up.
No, thanks for the notice, putting on us all on notice. I think it's important to do that. Thank you.
Excuse me, Council McDowell, are you going to bring hours for the next meeting? Proposed hours,
The hours?
schedule?
Yep, it will be the second Wednesday of the month and the second Thursday of the month. They'll be here in council chambers. Mr. Rayner and Ms. West has graciously given us space. And on Thursdays, it'll be 5 to 6:30. That'll be 5 to 6:30 on Thursday, and Wednesday will be,
It's
1
to
12.
3.
2 to 3?
I didn't put that down.
I thought it was 1 to 3.
1 to 3?
1 to 3, 1 to 3, yeah. And that'll be in the paper this coming week in the Portsmouth Times. It will be on our website. And so
Are we putting it on the town council page or is it going to be on the front page?
We'll put it on the town council page.
Okay.
And on the Thursday, you have to be out by 6:30 because the planning board meets.
it's in here.
So your other option is to have it up in the portion as well. If it makes that easier.
Or the library or the
Or
police
library,
station.
Okay. Okay, can I trouble you to make a schedule so people know who's coming when? So we don't overlap that? And if everybody wants to give availability to Counselor McDowell, and then we can go from there.
Sure.
Okay.
I'll get that.
Do we need any kind of approval motion?
No.
That's good enough.
I don't think so.
Okay.
No. Just, and then if you can get that back to the staff, they can post it on the website to say, these councils will be here this night, these councils will be here this night, depending on, if they want to pick on me or you or Mr. Gleason, either way. All right.
Just one thing, the counselors who got back to me when I was finishing this up. Or, oh, no, everybody did not get back to
Mhm,
me. So if
understood.
other people want to get involved in this, then they have to, before I do a schedule, they have to let me know.
Sure.
Okay?
Okay. Fantastic.
I'm looking forward to it. I hope people will take advantage of this and looking for good ideas for the town, and just ways that we can continue to work together and improve.
Thank you, Ms. Blake. Next up, we have new business number 1, an update from the Harbor Commission with the fabulous Ms. Brown.
I'm sorry, before we start that,
Okay,
sorry. I just have concerns about the way the Parks and Rec was voted on. Is there any way that we can visit this again?
we could visit it again at the end of the meeting if you would
Okay,
like, but the
thank you.
Prevailing side, which would be either Mr. Gleason, Ms. McDowell, Mr. Reese, or Ms. Patton would have to bring it back up
To not,
Motion to reconsider.
to motion
To
to
re-
reconsider. Yes.
it
We
just,
can-
it seemed too quick to put names out before even hearing from anybody.
Good evening, Abby.
Apologies.
How are
Good
you?
evening, Mr. President, members of the council. I'd like to take one moment, if I may. Brian, thank you for all of your hard work. I'm head of the Portsmouth Rights of Way for the town of Portsmouth, and what you have done to help me with my job over the many years that we've been doing this together, I thank you very, very much. I believe you all have a report in front of you from me. If you're curious as to why it's from
Abby.
July until February this year.
Abby, I still I still need your name and address for the
Oh,
record.
I'm sorry.
We know who you are, but they don't.
Abigail Brown, 104 Bayview Avenue.
Thank you.
Again, I believe you have my report in front of you.
Yes.
The reason it's from July until February is I've been accustomed in the last 7 years to reporting from July to July. When I was asked to make the report, you already had it to July, so I gave it to you from July to February. So does anyone have any questions on my report? I think I was rather thorough.
Very much so. Very much so.
Okay.
Any questions for Ms. Brown?
Are there any major issues or concerns you would like to voice to the council?
Not at the moment, but we are very worried about what's going to happen with the Prudence Island Ferry, but I guess you have a thing going with that now.
Okay,
So-
thank you.
So we're pretty good.
Prudence Island Ferry is going to be the Prudence Island Ferry, and it's still going to land in Bristol.
I understand.
But
It
parking is
what-
a whole
It is
secondary
what it
issue.
is. Yeah. All right.
So, no questions? Thank you, Abby, for coming in.
Thank you for your time.
Motion to receive and place on file, please.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next up, we have new business number 2, which is mine. Over the past 4.5, 5 years, we've done a repayment program of a warrant that was put out 12 and 13 that the funds were misaligned, and that has finally been paid off. So in order to help close the gap of our pension fund and also to plus up our OPEB fund, I would like the council to consider a motion to apply 50% of any ongoing budget surpluses to both the pension fund and the OPEB fund, with 40% to the pension and 10% to the OPEB. So if life make me easy, we have $1 million surplus, $400,000 goes to the pension, and $100,000 goes to OPEB. That's just because it's easy math that way.
Can I make a motion
You
to
can have fun.
this? Okay, I want to make a motion to table this item until we get further analysis and more options.
Okay. This was actually a discussion and was voted on by the pension committee.
I would make a motion that we accept this as written.
Was there,
Was there a report from the pension committee? I'd like to see what their analysis was. I mean, what you sent out
Mhm.
was that paragraph.
Correct.
And that doesn't explain how
The-
this all works. And
I
I can,
just
and
explained how
I'm,
it works. So we're adding money to help close the gap to the pension program.
I'd have to see the amount we need, the rate we get, and hear
Okay.
what the pension committee has to say. I would like some information from them.
There you go. Ms. McDowell.
Okay, I can help with that, I think, but I am confused with this, only because I've attended the last two pension meetings. And at the last meeting, the committee voted to bring forward a motion that they passed, which said they recommend to fund the pension plan over the next 3 years in increments of 3, 3, and 4. And so that was what they did. And that is what I thought we might be dealing with tonight, but this is different from what I thought. That to me is a far better deal than what is being proposed here.
This is on top of that deal.
Oh, okay, then
This
that
is
was
in
my question.
excess.
So is this in addition to the,
Yes.
okay. But we haven't done that yet,
We have
correct?
not done that yet, but it's put in the budget.
Yeah, but,
Mr. Rayner, you've placed that recommendation from the pension committee and
Correct,
built it
that's
into the
built
budget.
into the draft budget, which
Right.
you will receive at the end of the month.
That was the information we were missing. You only gave us the addendum to what was put in by the
Because
pension
th- th-
committee.
This is not part of the budget. This is on top of an excess
Okay.
funding.
Okay, because
The other part is in the budget.
what is being proposed is not a guarantee. It's a surplus. It could be zero.
It could be.
So the pension, a fully funded and solvent pension is a part of the foundation of the town's finances and our ability to borrow. I think that's why I'm concerned that I didn't get all this information as to what the pension committee had done and put in to Mr. Rayner in the preliminary budget. That's why I made my motion to table it till we get that further analysis and more options. Because the importance of this, of a pension in the town, a bad pension can bury the town financially.
Agreed.
This motion is to help get it there quicker.
It doesn't guarantee anything, though. I wanted to see the guaranteed portion.
The program is designed, the way it was set up years ago, is designed to be fully funded by 2040. This helps close the gap. The addition of the 300, 300, 400 also helps close that gap. And well, that doesn't actually necessarily help close the gap. It just is a more level fund. This is extra money, meaning if you have a mortgage and you decide to put an extra $50 on your
I've
principal.
done that. You
Yeah.
can pay off a 30-year mortgage in 14 years. I've
Right.
done that. But
That's what this motion helps to do.
this was a little, for the importance of the item, this was a little sketchy in what was, the basis. of
Nothing
it. What
sketchy
you're-
about it.
No,
It's
but what
just-
you're
it-
adding,
it- it's
what
just-
you're adding too, I can see what you're doing. We got the frosting, what you want to do, but we didn't get the cake. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. All right.
I just have a question. So should we have a motion, though, of what the pension committee voted on?
That's part of the budget process. That's not, this is outside of the budget.
This is in the
process.
event of a surplus.
No, no, that's not what the pension committee said, okay? That's what
No, no.
Mr. Hamilton's motion is. The pension committee said that they recommend 3, 3, and 4. And I believed from listening that was based on the $1 million that we have. We have a $1.2 million surplus from, right? We have it now, correct?
No.
We don't.
It's
Well,
not-
that's what I've
it's-
heard a
it's
couple times.
800,000 or so because of the 386 that was put in to close up the 1213. The 3, 3, and 4, which would be 3 this year, 6 the following year, and then a full $1 million the year after that, is in order to change the ARC payment and raise the ARC payment.
Yeah,
This
I
is
understand.
ancillary to that and adds extra money to close the gap.
Okay, so next year, if we do not have a surplus next year, then what the pension plan said or voted on, which really, they wanted 3, 3, and 4.
No, stop with what the pension, that's part of the budget. That's in the budget. The 3 is in the budget. Next year it will be 6 and the following year it'll be $1 million. It has nothing to do with this motion. You're conflating issues. I'm asking that if we have a surplus at the end of this year of heck, $100,000, $50,000 goes to the pension and $10,000 goes into OPEB, regardless of what the budget comes out as when we're done at the middle of June. Surplus from last year does not count. That's already in the general fund or what was left over. Mr. Rayner?
Sure. I think the confusion here lies in, is the ARC going to get paid? An ARC is an actuarially recommended contribution, or sometimes you'll hear ADC, an actuarially determined contribution. We get that report every year and it's posted online. It tells us in order to maintain that glide path, to have the pension, the defined pension fully funded by fiscal year 2040-41, that's how much money we need to put in. Portsmouth always funds 100% of the ARC. That's in the budget, and you'll see that in the draft budget. Additionally, the committee said, okay, we can kind of get our ARC payments, because the ARC payments will go up, and then drop down once it's fully funded. To get that ARC payment increase lower every year, they voted that we would get $1 million into the fund. We'll do 300,000 this year, 300,000 the following year. Now you're up to 600,000 and at 400,000 that third year. So that's $1 million extra above and beyond what the ARC is calling for. And then this motion would, but that would keep the fund on track to be funded by 2040-41. What this will do is this will enable us, it can do two things depending on how we move forward. It will either reduce the ARC payment over the years from now up till 2041, or it will close the gap sooner and we'll have it 100% funded prior to 2040-41. So this is above and beyond. We're still budgeting the 300, 300, 400. We're still budgeting the full ARC payment. This motion is to put more in, and the analogy was putting extra money into your mortgage payment. That's what this is going to do if you pass it.
Mr. Gleason?
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. I don't know how the town, and I've been here 8 years, when we get a surplus, I don't think anything ever comes back to the council that says, what do you want to do with this, guys? Somehow it just rolls over. But what I was going to suggest is this, rather than just come up with this black and white that you've come up with, why don't we just come up with a motion that says the town council will have the option to opine as to where the, extra money, if we should have any, goes. And then we could decide, let's put it here, let's put it in the general fund, rather than just handcuff ourselves with this number right now.
Because our biggest, in my opinion, our biggest deficit right now, two biggest deficits are our pension and our OPEB.
I agree.
So closing that gap faster is the best option for the health of the finances of the town.
See, what we've been told all along is we really are on target to meet it anyways.
We are.
I understand about paying it off earlier, but if we don't do anything, are we still gonna get there?
Well, my other concerns are we have been on track to do things and then things come up like 2008 and 2009 and the market crashes. We had COVID, market crashed, killed the pension fund. I'd like to have more assets in there to help keep it plussed up and close it faster. That's all. And it's 50% of the surplus. So right now we are teetering on 16% in terms of general fund surplus. Once we pass our budget this year, we'll go back below 16%. So.
And where do we stand on the, Mr. Rayner can answer that, on the actual pension fund?
After today,
we're about 62, 63%.
Yeah, it was about 63% as
For the
of
market.
January. I'm looking at Mr. Grieve because we had this discussion in the pension meeting. We were at the end of June of last year, we were about 71 million. As of the end of January, we were about 74. That's because of the end of today, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Or for the past 2 weeks, I guess would be worse. But this just helps close the gap faster. Mr. Grieve?
Tom Grieve, 110 Thayer Drive. I'm also on the pension committee. I think one of the things that I hear here is missing in this is I think some graphs would really help you understand what the difference would do for each of these different options. And there are other options. Mr. Reese was right. There are other options that could happen. And then you could, pick from that. Because, the front end loading of this is critical because you get the time value of money going out. So the sooner you put it in, the better. The more it stretches out and we don't get returns like we didn't today, the more you have to make up at the very end. It's very easy to see this in a graph over time. Now, it is theoretical because we assume a 6.75% increase in our funds on a straight line like that, and it never goes that way. But at least you would see what each one of these different options did in that line to make it go higher quicker. And I would just suggest that you ask the pension committee to put together those graphs that show what this looks like. And I think it'd be an easy decision for you to make with that in front of you. Right now, I understand nobody can do those calculations in your head and say, this is what it looks like. So that's my suggestion is you send it back to the pension committee, ask them to put together, and we may have to use the actuary to do that, a set of graphs that can show you exactly what's going to happen over time.
I would be intrigued to hear what those other options are that the council has thought of or considered.
Well, one is the one I suggested the other day, which is to just take it out of the general fund. We earn money on the general fund at about cash equivalent versus the 6.75 we target for, and at least recently have been able to do. Also, that would put money that $1,000 or it's $1 million that would put it in all at once early on. And you get the more time value of money rather than stretching it out over 3 years. There's a whole host of alternatives.
There are other issues that come along with taking $1 million out of our general fund.
That's very possible.
There are other priorities that may be needed for that $1 million.
Yeah. But
we can't.
You asked what the other alternatives
I
were,
understand.
and it's up to you guys to make the decision between the alternatives. I'm not going to sit here and do that, but there are other
Just clarify,
alternatives.
Are we talking general fund or fund balance? Two different things.
The
Fund balance.
Okay.
Fund balance.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. They are so intertwined so many times, it doesn't matter.
So anyway, I would really suggest you could make this decision, I think, very easy if you just go back to the pension committee, and a month from now, you'd see a graph that would, I think, make the decision of all these things easy for you.
Okay, but I will once again state that this is extra money to the fund regardless of any other programs that we put forth. That's all. I'm trying to find a way to close the gap faster.
Okay.
That's it. I think you and I are on the same wavelength. with that.
I applaud that. The faster we can get this, the better. And
Because if it continues on like today, we ain't getting 6.75 this year.
not this year. Exactly.
Can I?
Ms. Blank.
I appreciate the offer to make the charts. I kind of just, with my love of math, kind of understand what you're trying to say of how it would degrade. It seems like a positive thing that we should move forward with now to help implement that. And just, Tom, as a person on the pension committee, would you be in support of the surplus funds 50%?
I can't speak for the pension committee.
How about you as a citizen who's looked into the pension?
Anything that funds pension, which is behind schedule, well behind schedule from what we did in 2012, I think is a good idea. But there are alternatives. This is one, and there are others. And I think you could see how each one of those alternatives affected the balance in the pension fund easily with a graph. And it's impossible just sitting here and talking about it. But I support anything that funds the pension plan
Yeah.
sooner, but you have alternatives and you need to look at them in order to find out what you think is the best one.
I recognize that. And, but I also want to just point out, doing this now would help get it funded earlier without negating other measures.
No, ma'am.
So,
And the reason,
that's why I
the
think
reason is
we
we
should
don't
move
have a
forward.
surplus until a year from last December. So we've got till next December in order to know even if you have a surplus, and it wouldn't affect it until the December timeframe. So that's what, so you've got time to make this decision without affecting whether it happens or not.
Thank you.
That sounded really stupid, but I hope you get my idea.
Any further discussion?
Yep.
Ms. McGowan?
I just want to be clear then. So the 300,000 is in the budget this year,
Yes.
correct? And then the 300,000 that they're recommending will be in the budget no matter what next year?
No, 600.
Well,
300 this year,
Yeah.
600 the following year, and $1 million the following year,
okay.
to get to the million that was originally budgeted.
But is it true that over 3 years, there'll be the total will be $1 million?
Yes.
Okay. So it will be in there no matter if we have a surplus or not, that formula, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And then this motion is for future additions to the pension, correct?
Correct. If as of June 30, we have $1 million surplus, which I'm not anticipating, but if we have $1 million surplus, 400,000 goes into the pension fund, 100,000 goes into the OPEB, and 500,000 goes into the fund balance.
Okay.
Unless this council in June decides, or July says, hey, we want to fix something, you know, the AC at the DPW blew up and we need to replace it. Let's take $80,000 out of the fund balance to pay for that, or the surplus, excuse me. No, I know Paul will take care of it in his absence.
So going forward, if there is no surplus in a given year, then we don't do this. Is that my understanding or
Correct.
not? Okay. But it still could come back here and we could decide to fund it
People can come back
Yeah.
and make any motion they want or any discussion item that they want at any point in time on the pensions.
Yep.
With or without a recommendation of the Pension Advisory Committee.
Thank
Hence
you.
the name advisory.
Thank you.
Ms. Patton.
Is it possible just to get the letter of recommendation from them?
Of doing this or?
No, of the 334 that they,
The
yeah,
motion that was passed, that would be in the minutes. That would be,
okay.
when is the next meeting? 22nd of April?
Yes.
It is, yes, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So it'll be in the minutes of the 20th, once the Pension Advisory Committee approves their minutes on the 22nd. So. Was there ever a motion? It was a long discussion. Okay.
Move on your motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Oh, need a cigarette?
Next up, we have implementation of Zoom Assistant to manage and read public
Yours.
inquiries aloud. And this would be specifically for the Q&A little hand that's it's on the bottom. Can I just make a suggestion that we just kill the Q&A portion of it, since people do it anonymously and we make everybody who shows their wonderful face in the podium and even online state who they are. So if we have the ability just to kill the Q&A.
We do.
Zoom is over and above what a lot of communities do.
Yeah.
That we allow people to.
Right.
Especially, our friends from Prudence who can't make it over on the boat. But the Q&A, there's been a lot of anonymous people on there, and would you like to make that a motion? Since, this is your agenda item. I just.
Just say so moved. So moved.
Just turn on your light though. Thank you.
Yeah, so moved. No. What do you just make?
Just kill the Q&A portion of the Zoom. We still allow people to raise their hand, talk, and identify themselves. It's just no anonymous postings and questions and answers.
All right.
Is there a second?
Second, the procedure will be such that young ladies over here at that terminal will be the ones fielding the questions, right? And bring it to the council. when
No,
somebody raises their hand.
there just won't be any Q&A.
No, I
When
mean-
somebody raises their hand,
Yes, right.
they'll, just like tonight,
They're gonna raise
they're
their
gonna raise
hand
their
for a
hand, say,
question,
Mr.
but
President, somebody's raising their hand.
they have to identify themselves.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
I'm guessing you're up there for the next item.
The next two.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. And next we are on to new business 4, which is just a request to advertise
For a public hearing.
for 357 wild and exciting pages of the Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan. Do we have a date? Do we want to do this in
March
May?
24th.
March 24th?
Mm-hmm.
That gives everybody enough time to read 357
I
pages?
sent it out weeks ago.
I know. I know you did.
I'm on page 60.
Help you fall asleep at night?
No problem. That happened at page 2.
Do we have a motion to schedule a?
So moved.
On the 24th? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Nay. I think we need more time. Sorry.
If you want more time, we can request for more time.
They've already
That's up
passed
to you.
it. That's fine. Just my own opinion. Well, I think he already had a motion and you guys.
But we can,
you guys have
we can
voted.
reconsider it if you want to do it on a different.
I would
day.
only suggest that this is a very, we're going to explain it to you and it's for you to bless so we can send it to REMA and then FEMA and then it actually comes back
Great.
for adoption.
So if it doesn't, in 2 weeks, what happens?
If it doesn't,
We don't have a meeting in 2 weeks and read it.
It just delays the.
What's
it's
the
already
effect of
gone.
the delay?
It's going to Newport and Middletown in the month of March, where the Portsmouth is the last town council to look at it and bless it.
After they see it.
We're all seeing it the same.
We're all seeing it at the same
Okay.
time.
It's the same regional. plan.
I would suggest that you really hone in on the appendix section. The whole bulk of the document is really history, data, really focus on the goals and policies, which are in the appendix.
That's helpful information. Thank you.
Please,
We're all set.
I request the public hearing be heard on March 21st,
Already done.
24th, because you'll see a lot of me.
Already been approved.
Thanks.
6-1.
Next up, we have new business number 5, which is developing the next statewide planning council STIP list for Portsmouth for the years 2026 to 2035, which is working with the state of Rhode Island to decide on which roads should be done. I think we all agree that East Main Road needs to be done sooner rather than later, but that is on the list. Items, Ms. Hitchin, you can correct me, items that are currently on the list but not done yet in the 2016 through 2025 STIP will just roll over into the next one.
As you can see, I have made an Excel attachment, which we can either pull up or blow up, or it is in your backup. The projects that are in the gray are projects that are ongoing, and East Main and West Main is currently on there.
and they're not even available for reprioritization or to be removed. You don't have the ability to remove them. So I would suggest we just keep all the projects that are currently on the STIP and move them right over to the new STIP. And I, in my memo, have suggested, I've talked it over with Brian Woodhead and Rich Rayner, some recommendations that we have in town for projects to propose to statewide planning on the last page of the memo.
Everybody have that piece of the memo in front of you with it? I'll read through them specifically. Staff recommendations, pavement and sidewalk improvements along the state portion of Anthony Road, which would go from Boyd's Lane to the railroad underpass, roughly? Or are you talking the other way from?
Kathy, if you can pull up my little fob that I gave you.
The DOT garage, from Boyd's Lane to the DOT garage, okay? Next one would be reconstruction of Park Avenue for improved resiliency, which would be hopefully raising the level of Park Avenue to help avoid flooding.
That's
down there.
correct, and that goes along
And
to
drainage.
what Mr. Rayner had mentioned in his administrator's report earlier, where we're going to work with Fuss and O'Neill. And that would obviously be one of the priorities, is to raise Park Ave.
Number 3 would be intersection improvements and putting a signal in at Freedom Trail, which is becoming a busier neighborhood. Can I add on to that and potentially add in a left turn lane at Redwood Farms, both into Union Street? Is that in the current STIP? Okay, perfect. Good. Number 4 is pavement and sidewalk improvements along each stretch of Boyd's Lane, coupled with flooding mitigation improvements in the vicinity of Old Boyd's Lane, which is that channel that they're always digging out.
Yep,
Yeah.
and that's highlighted in the circle.
And
That's
sidewalks would be huge to get from East
On
Main
the map.
Road to the Mount Hope Bridge.
Mhm.
But don't walk across the Mount Hope Bridge. That's for specifically for somebody who's online right now. And then sidewalk improvements from Morris Ave to Anthony Road, which
So
is Mr. Vitt's
that's
request.
Mr. Vitt's suggestion, and it was very timely because he has brought it up before, and I didn't highlight exactly. I honestly don't know where Morris Ave is.
First road on your left.
But Mr. Vitt and I have talked about it before, and it's very obvious where the state sidewalk ends and the guardrail starts.
So for those of you who are not familiar, when you take that left coming out of Common Fence Point to go onto Hummock Avenue, there's no room on that side, that area where there's a guardrail. So Mr. Vitt's idea would be to put a sidewalk behind the guardrail to protect people from coming around that corner, which is kind of a blind corner if you're walking and or riding a bike that way. And it's a good suggestion. I don't want to pump up Mr. Vitt anymore, though. All right, council, does the council have any other suggestions or questions or additions to the STIP?
So
Yes.
can I ask about
Absolutely.
Sprague Street?
Sprague Street is part of the West Main Road project that is going out to bid this spring to be either done this fall or next spring.
Well, I will say that West Main Road plus Sprague Street will be going forward before the East Main Road project, and we're working with Rhode Island DOT in that.
So Mr. Woodhead, correct me if I'm wrong. There's 3 projects that are going out to bid shortly. One is sidewalks on Sprague Street and repaving. West Main Road from Locust to the town line. Kesson. Oh, that's right, past the town line to Kesson. And then intersection improvements at Macquarie.
Correct. Box widening.
They're gonna do turn lanes going into West Main. Yep.
Would it be possible, or did I miss in the backup? I see where you're listing each of these, but it's great to see the pictures to help better understand it. Could you email it, or did I miss it?
It was over the weekend where I thought like, oh, it'd probably be a good idea if I
Yeah, it was
provide
super
visuals,
helpful.
so I did this right before the meeting.
Oh, okay. Do you mind just emailing it
I
out?
can.
Because it is very helpful. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, can you just attach it to the agenda? as additional backup. Thank you. Any other projects, Mr.
I
Gleason?
do have a question, for West Main or especially for East Main Road. Does the tree trimming become part of the road work? And I only ask that because if it doesn't, is this something we can add to the STIP? I know.
I don't know if tree trimming is part of STIP availability. There's very specific.
I think we can make a request of the maintenance division to trim trees if there's an issue with certain trees. That's outside of the
my,
STIP.
my biggest concern is near Oakland Farms. I see a gentleman up there trying to fix stone walls with 3-foot trunk trees that don't have a top on them that are pushing out the wall. And I think they're on the state land. I just don't know.
Maybe, I don't know, they're behind the wall.
Yeah.
Chris does a wonderful job with those walls.
He does a great job.
If you could email me or give me a specific, Brian, and I can look into it.
Okay.
But yeah, I think there's a different division than the STIP.
Okay.
There's a maintenance division that if you have issues with trees that we can contact.
And lastly, on the municipality project list, the ones that are green that we own, Quinnick Island Bikeway, Melville Connector for a start year of 2027 and New Northern Portsmouth Bicycle Route Network Plan 2023. Are these being actively worked on in some way by planning? What can you say about
Well, that's a great question because I had to ask the state as well in terms of why are they listed as municipal projects. We did start working with RIDOT regarding the Northern Portsmouth Bicycle Route last year with a bike planner with Rhode Island DOT, and then he disappeared. Sounds like typical DOT stuff. So I recently reached out to the gentleman I'm working with for the STIP, and he said, well, it is considered a municipal project, and we have to decide if we still want to move forward with it. And it will still, the money will still come from the state. So obviously, I still think it's a great idea that we still consider these two municipal projects, whether we call them municipal projects or state projects. I think the Northern Portsmouth Bike Route Network Plan is a great project to keep moving forward with, and the Aquidneck Island Bikeway Millville Connector is very important too. That one's further down the pike, but we did actually start working with Rhode Island DOT in the summer of 2023. And I think with Bike Newport and all the different other
Sure.
entities, that's something that we should continue to look into.
So it's not your hands-on per se, but
No, but
they need a
I
push
think
and you'll assist them.
I think with DOT and Bike Newport and other entities, like I said, is something we should continue to push through with.
Okay, thank you. I agree.
Any other questions or additions to the STIP in terms of roadways which are listed on the backup? Which I just lost. So you have Anthony Road, Boyd's Lane, Bristol Ferry, Chase Road, East Main, Middle Road from Schoolhouse to Union Street, Morris Ave, Old West Main Road, Park Avenue, Point Road, Railroad Avenue, Schoolhouse, Sprague Street, Turnpike. Brian, Bayview's not on here at all? Just at the north, is it the northern part of Bayview on here, or just to as far as they go to the outfall there?
Bristol Ferry?
Yeah.
So believe it or not, Bristol Ferry ends at the railroad tracks and it turns into Bayview and that turns into Town Road.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. President, motion to approve the prioritized list of transportation as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you both. Mr. Vitt, did you want to say something, sir? Since you are subsection A.
John Vitkevich, 119 Hummock Avenue, Portsmouth, Rhode Island. 4.5 years ago, I was here with the request to have DOT install some type of walkway, blacktop cement, whatever, behind the guardrail at Hummock Avenue on April 21st of 2021, a woman hit the guardrail right at just a little bit past Morris Avenue going to 24. She hit it so hard, she bounced off and she hit it again. I had some photographs, but one of the photographs detail how she hit it so hard, she impaled the bumper of her car on the guardrail. When they took the car off it, the bumper stayed on the guardrail. And, okay, if you were standing there, if you were walking there, if you were riding your bike there, you were dead. It's a terrible it's not even an S-turn. I don't know what the hell you want to call it.
Sharp curve.
Yeah, and if you look, there's the accident, the Volvo. If you look closely, drive it, and look at how many times the guardrail keeps getting hit. The Lewises moved out of their house there years ago because they were tired of cars in the front yard. DOT owns 53 feet from the west side of Hummock Avenue over the guardrail, so they've got the land. Every year I've called the DOT, every year I get the same attitude. Well, it's got to be on the tip. Well, we got to find the money. Well, we got to find another project to raid the money from. Okay, when somebody dies there, some kid gets hurt there, then it's going to be too late. So I'm just asking this council, in a new effort, and I know DOT really loves us. Okay, just send them a resolution saying, hey, we brought this up 4 years ago or 5 years ago. What can we do? I am working with the local John Olson from DOT. He hasn't called me back yet, but he knows what we want to do. As a matter of fact, he's in some of the pictures. It's not a big project to dig it out and to install some type of walkway back there. We have a $180 million bridge with a walk path. We can't get to it unless you want to, so all I'm asking you to do is take a ride by there, look at the guardrail. I may colorize the guardrail, and where the dents are. As a matter of fact, Senator Seveny had I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there it is, the top left picture. He had that sign put up that shows pedestrians, and the guardrail got hit the day after it was put in, right at the sign. So it was like somebody on purpose. Thank you for your time and consideration. If there's anything I can do, thank you.
Thank you, John. Next up, we have correspondence. You have a motion? Any
So
questions?
I have, I was just question, item number 3. Can we remove, the correspondence and put that on the next agenda for discussion, or
Due to the fact that Mr. Lopes is retiring?
yes? Is
Okay.
that something we do?
Yeah.
Or okay.
I don't know what the discussion would be, but other than to wish
Well,
him good luck.
just to go out for, put an RFP out. I'm not sure what the process is.
We'll take care of that in due course. We will try to get applicants for this position for your approval. This isn't something we make a higher decision on. This is something you do, but we're already working on it.
Okay, thank you.
Would you still like to take it off and discuss it, or there has been a RFP, or you're looking for hires, and you'll bring forth a candidate?
Correct.
Okay. Any
I just have
other?
one other comment. On the recycling report there, let's see what that is.
Number 9?
Number 9,
Yep.
the report itself is missing
It's missing its lines.
missing some lines on there, so if we could just include the final one
Where-
when you have it, Jen.
Yep.
That's all.
We'll
Yep.
add it for the backup.
And that being said, motion to place all correspondence on file.
Second.
Any further questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Our next meeting will be on March 24th. From what I can gather, we should pack a lunch. It's going to be a long meeting with a lot of discussion, so and we will probably have an executive session beforehand, Mr. Rayner? Yes, so
That's
so
correct.
Council will meet here at 6, plan on 6:30? Yep, so the executive session that was for this evening has been rescheduled to the 24th. So it'll be 6:30 for the council, 7 o'clock for the general meeting. April 14th, also, the council will get the budget on that Friday after, is that correct? Which would be the 29th? Did I do my math right?
28th?
28th?
Yeah.
Okay. And then 14th, we'll have a regularly scheduled council meeting. The 28th, we'll have also a regularly scheduled council meeting, which is a budget overview, and then budget discussion on the 28th, 29th, and the 1st if needed. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.